Welcome to this explainer. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're constantly exhausted, endlessly rushed, and just absolutely drained by this hyper-connected, relentlessly fast-paced modern world we live in. Trust me, you are definitely not alone. We are living in a society that literally glorifies speed, where we just sprint from one task to the next without ever catching our breath, and frankly, it's tearing us down. But today, we're going to explore a really fascinating shift in perspective. Let's discover together how the Japanese philosophy of Wabi-Sabi might actually offer an antidote to all this modern chaos. It's a journey into finding immense value in the things we usually try to hide, and it just might change how you experience your everyday life.
We live in an age of total instant gratification. We expect our 10-minute Zomato and Blinkit deliveries, instant replies to our messages, and basically overnight success. Every single day, we're bombarded by this never-ending barrage of notifications and heavily filtered social media feeds showing these incredibly curated lives. And it creates a deeply exhausting, hidden anxiety within all of us. There is this immense, suffocating pressure to maintain a completely fake, flawless image, both at work and at home. We polish our routines, we hide our daily struggles, and we chase this impossible, gleaming standard of perfection until we inevitably burn out. So it really begs the question, are you also tired of trying to be perfect? What if we've been running in the entirely wrong direction this whole time?
Let's dive right into Section 1. Perfection is an illusion, redefining beauty and self. To really understand this, we first need to embrace a core premise of the Wabi-Sabi philosophy. And honestly, it is so liberating. It teaches us that absolutely nothing in nature is perfect, and yet it's all completely beautiful. Think about a crooked, windswept tree, or an uneven, weathered stone. We don't judge a tree for having branches of different lengths, do we? No, we just accept it as it is. Wabi-Sabi asks us to redefine our whole concept of beauty, and ultimately of ourselves. Now, notice the golden lines on this bowl. This is called kintsugi. It's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. When a bowl breaks in this tradition, artisans don't just throw it away, and they definitely don't try to seamlessly glue it back together to hide the damage. Instead, they painstakingly repair the cracks with lacquer dusted in powdered gold. They actively choose to highlight the history of the object. And the philosophy here is just staggering. It shows us that our own failures, our deepest heartbreaks, and our periods of feeling broken do not make us weak or worthless. Those golden cracks are your unique history. They show resilience. They actually make you incredibly valuable. You are not meant to be a flawless, mass-produced item right off an assembly line. Now, what's really interesting here is the profound contrast between these mindsets. On one side, the modern mindset demands that we hide our flaws and constantly perform for the world. But think about how much energy it takes to maintain that fake facade day in and day out. It just creates this cold, isolating distance between us and everyone else. When you meet someone who acts entirely perfect, who never admits to making a single mistake, you naturally feel a little disconnected from them, right? Maybe even intimidated. But on the flip side, the Wabi-Sabi mindset shows us that sharing our authentic, imperfect, real selves is what actually builds genuine human connection. When someone shares a struggle, we instantly relate to them. Celebrating those flaws as part of our unique story is how we actually build trust and real community. Real recognizes real. Moving on to Section 2. Simplicity and slow living, the antidote to overwhelm. Let's see how this builds from our physical spaces directly into our mental state. In our current culture, we constantly equate more with better. More money, more options, more apps, more speed, but more actually creates a profound heaviness. The clutter isn't just in our overflowing physical closets, it's the clutter in our minds. We're paralyzed by past regrets and terrified of future worries. We are suffocated by having unlimited options. Think about that extremely common modern experience. Sitting down after a long day, opening up Netflix, and spending 30 exhausting minutes just mindlessly scrolling through thousands of titles. You're completely unable to pick a movie, so you just turn the TV off and go to sleep. That paradox of choice, combined with the relentless pressure to constantly be productive, even on our days off, actively drains our life energy. It creates heavy stress and completely drowns out our true inner voice. We're trying to be everywhere at once, which means we end up being fully present nowhere. And this leads us to a fascinating realization. Less is not lack. Less is clarity. In the Wabi-Sabi framework, true luxury isn't having the absolute most things or the busiest schedule. It is simplicity. When you strip away the unnecessary, the essential finally gets room to reveal itself. Just imagine the act of sitting down and slowly drinking a warm cup of tea. No phone in your other hand, no notifications buzzing on your wrist, no mentally reviewing your to-do list. Just tasting the tea, feeling the warmth of the mug in your hands, and watching the steam rise. When you purposefully remove those unnecessary distractions, your focus sharpens dramatically. By doing less, you gain immense depth and profound presence in your own life. Let's jump into Section 3, Nature's Greatest Truth, the Ultimate Teacher.
Let's shift our perspective outward for a minute. We spend our modern lives staring at perfectly straight, artificial lines, our glowing rectangular screens, our perfectly square office rooms, our rigid block-by-block calendar schedules. But if we want to find actual peace, we have to turn to the ultimate teacher, nature. Nature doesn't deal in rigid, perfect geometry. It operates in beautiful, crooked branches, unpredictable weather patterns, and winding rivers. It is amazing how observing nature completely reshapes our expectations. First, nature teaches us that growth takes time. A seed doesn't rush, panic, or compare its progress to the massive, ancient oak tree next to it. It simply follows its natural process underground. Second, every phase has a purpose. When autumn leaves dry up and fall, the tree isn't dying or failing, it's intentionally shedding the old to conserve energy and prepare for new growth. And third, flow. Don't force. A river doesn't violently fight a massive boulder in its path. It gracefully, patiently flows around it. We cause ourselves endless frustration by trying to force our reality instead of just flowing with it.
Building on that, we really have to realize that life is not a straight, linear path pointing infinitely upward on a graph. It is a cycle. We all experience our springs of new beginnings, our vibrant summers of peak joy and productivity, our autumns of letting go, and our winters of deep rest and apparent breakdown. Modern society loudly insists that we should be in a constant, perpetual summer of high energy and visible success. But Wabi-Sabi teaches us that accepting the impermanence of these changing seasons is a profound wisdom, not a weakness. Think about a major career setback or a period of creative block. In a hyper-productive society, we view that as a massive failure. But in this philosophy, it's simply a winter phase. It's a necessary time for deep rest, for breaking down old ideas so that a new spring can eventually emerge. Every phase is temporary, and every phase is absolutely vital.
Which leads us to this incredibly powerful anchor. This too shall pass. Now, repeating this mantra isn't about coldly detaching from your life or becoming numb. It's about finding deep emotional stability right in the middle of the chaos. When you're in your toughest, darkest winter phase, when absolutely nothing seems to be working out, knowing it will pass gives you the crucial hope you need to endure. And beautifully, when you're in a vibrant, joyous summer phase, knowing it's temporary forces you to actually appreciate it deeply, right now, in this exact moment before it's gone. It fundamentally removes our desperate need to control everything and allows us to simply experience the ride. And that brings us to Section 4, Accept Life, the final release of resistance. Everything we've explored today, embracing our golden cracks of imperfection, finding profound clarity in simplicity, learning patience from nature's cycles, it all culminates right here. The ultimate realization is that our deepest pain doesn't actually come from life-changing or being unpredictable. Our pain comes almost entirely from our stubborn, exhausting resistance to that change. Think of the ocean. On the surface, the waves are always chaotic. They crash, they change direction, they pull with the tide. If you spend your life on the surface, reacting to every single wave, asking, why is this wave so high? Why is that one so rough? Why can't the water just be still? You will literally drown in anxiety trying to control the uncontrollable. But if you accept the nature of the ocean, you can dive below. Deep underneath those crashing waves, there is always a profound, undisturbed calm. True peace is found when we stop violently fighting the imperfections of the water and instead trust the flow. So, I'd love to leave you with this thought as we wrap up our explainer today. The next time you feel stuck, frustrated, or just utterly overwhelmed by the relentless pressure to be perfect, pause.